Thrift Shop, 1312 Maple.
Happy Monday, television family. It's good to see you. Thanksgiving weekend is over. We're back at it, 27th day of November, 2023. I am Dan Kuntz. A little cloudy, a little foggy, 30 degrees. If you like the weather over the weekend, we're going to do it all over again. Low clouds and fog, burns off mid to late morning, sunshine in the afternoon, temperatures a little below normal. We are stuck right smack dab in the middle of a big, strong, persistent ridge of high pressure. And when this happens, in late autumn, this is what you get, and this is what we're going to have all the way through Thursday. Things start changing a little bit Thursday night into Friday. Measurable snow right here on the valley floor is possible Friday night into Saturday, just in time to say hello to December. Forecast details are coming up if the weather continues to be just there. Not a lot to talk about. In news, we will play what the news did on Friday. Mayor Frank Kuntz leaving office after 3 terms in 12 years. He had a chance to sit down with Jefferson Robbins to reflect on some of the challenges, some of the accomplishments, and some of the things that he tried to get done and didn't get done. His interview with Jefferson Robbins will be coming up in the newscast. In sports, of course, the Apple Cup's a done deal. Huskies win on the last play of the game. They'll take on the Ducks Friday night at 5 o'clock in beautiful Las Vegas. Win. And they're in the college football playoffs. Plus, who advances to the state championships in high school football? Happens this Friday and Saturday at Husky Stadium in Seattle. We'll have that. And coming up this Saturday, December 2nd, in the Wenatchee High School Commons, it's one of the biggest annual events around here to get you in the holiday mood. The Wenatchee High School Golden Apple Band Booster Club puts on the annual Holiday Craft Bazaar. It's a big thing. Huge thing for the Wenatchee High School Golden Apple Marching Band. This is their big fundraiser. And you're going to hear from the senior drum major, Sophie Macon, and the junior drum major, Alexa Dickman. We had a great chance to talk to those lovely young ladies. We'll have that for you in the back half of the program. And we begin with our tour around the valley. Even though we're not quite to sunrise yet. In fact, we're a ways away. 7:22 this morning. About 20 minutes from now will be sunrise. Sunset tonight or this afternoon, if whatever you want to call it. 4:14. 8 hours and 52 minutes of daylight. We hit 39 on Saturday, but just 36 on Sunday. It took a long time for the clouds and the fog to burn off. It didn't happen until early afternoon. That may be the case again today. But yesterday at this time, the clouds and the fog were much thicker than they are today at this time. Good morning to the valley. Good morning to Chelan from the very tip top of McNeil Canyon. Enough ambient light for that thing to have a color view, and there it is. Lake Chelan just over the edge of that ridge there. They have a few clouds and fog. Everybody is like 30 degrees. This is really strange. It's 30 in Wenatchee, it's 30 in Ellensburg, it's 30 in Ephrata, it's 30 in Moses Lake, it's 31 in Manson, 31 in Dryden, 30 in Chelan. Everybody's stuck right at 30 degrees. To Omi Garden camera, pointing back towards the cross camera and the heights. There you go. It wasn't that long ago you could see the cross. Now you can't from our Omi Garden camera. It is, of course, Cyber Monday. That's a friendly reminder, folks, if you're going to be online shopping today, and if the spirit so moves you to buy me a Christmas present, don't forget, I like my gifts big and expensive. And finally, Cashmere. Hello, Cashmere. There you go. Starting to get a little light there. Always good to see our friends in Cashmere. Everybody's dealing with the clouds and the fog, and then it burns off. So it's going to be a precipitation-free week, but the air is a little stagnant. It's a little dirty. We're at moderate air quality right now. It could get worse as the day progresses. There's simply no place for the pollutants to go. So from the National Weather Service, is a quick little slide. Basically, nothing. All the way through, essentially, Thursday night. Now, Thursday night, the ridge of high pressure, which is sitting right over the Washington-Idaho border, it's going to eventually break down and slide away. But it's pretty strong. It's been here for about 5 days, and it's going to be here through most of this week. And then come Friday and Friday night, things are going to change. From the National Weather Service, here's your forecast. Lots of clouds and fog, some sunshine in the afternoon, and a high of 36, pretty much what we did yesterday. It's going to do it all over again On Tuesday, patchy fog burns off mid to late morning, sunshine in the afternoon, high of 38. Patchy fog in the morning on Wednesday, burns off to sunshine, high of 37. Patchy fog in the morning on Thursday, burns off to sunshine, and a high of 38. Thursday night, the snow levels are going to be at 800 feet, but the chance of precipitation is only about 20%. Now, the chance of precipitation goes up to 60% on Friday, but the best chance of measurable precipitation, and I mean snow, is Friday night into Saturday. We have a 60% chance of snow, maybe a rain-snow mix, but the snow level is going to drop down to 1,100 feet. So that's us, pretty much. Snow level is going to hover right around 1,400 feet on Saturday, but we'll also see some sunbreaks. And with highs pushing 40 on Saturday, any snow we get overnight Friday into early Saturday morning is not going to stick around. But the first measurable snow is coming perhaps Friday night. We shall see. In the meantime, there's just not a lot of weather to talk about. It's 6 minutes after the hour. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll have the news. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley Monday edition on the NCW Life channel.
At Confluence Health, our mission is clear: to provide exceptional care for our community. We believe in healthcare that's personal and local because we're just like you, members of this great community.
We are Confluence.
Local care by and for our community.
Local care by and for our community.
Local care by and for our community.
We are Confluence.
In today's environment, risk management assessment is a crucial process for your business. Risk assessment will identify, evaluate, and mitigate hazards. Don't let risk impact your business income, reputation, operations, and your overall success. We can give you peace of mind by transferring your business risks to the insurance providers. Call Stacy at August Edge Insurance today to schedule a risk management assessment for your business.
Clouds, some fog. We're sitting right at 30 degrees. We'll be upper 30s with some afternoon sunshine. And this pattern that began really on Friday, Thursday and Friday, is going to really continue right through most of this week with a chance of some light snow in the Wenatchee Valley Friday night into Saturday. Wenatchee Mayor Frank Kuntz was first elected in 2011, re-elected in 2015, ran unopposed for a third term in 2019, but now he's done. He turns over the reins of Wenatchee City government to Mayor-elect Mike Poyer at the end of the year. What you're about ready to see is in three separate parts. Mayor Kuntz sat down with our very own Jefferson Robbins to talk about some of the successes and maybe some of the things that didn't work out so good during his 12 years as mayor.
What was the state of Wenatchee when you took office? You were elected in 2011 for the first time.
It was very interesting. Obviously, we had built the Town Toyota Center. We had some really tough financial issues. The city of Wenatchee was on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, all over any of the financial news across the country. We were the only municipal default in the United States at that time. And so everyone was looking at us and, you know, how do you fix the mess? And, you know, how do we sort of get ourselves out of it? So I knew going in it was going to be a very interesting start. And it clearly was, and yeah, and we were fortunate enough that the community got behind some ideas that we came up with, and lo and behold, we got the Town Toyota Center financing done and did everything we said we were going to do, and but it was a very interesting time.
Refresh our memory about Town Toyota Center. What were the kind of risks that the city was facing from default?
So the city had guaranteed the debt, so there was $44 million of debt that the city had guaranteed. The issue was it a legal guarantee or an illegal guarantee? And ultimately, the Washington State Supreme Court said we couldn't have guaranteed the debt. But, you know, our name was on all of these bonds. And at some point, those bonds need to get paid. And So it was, we had a Securities and Exchange Commission investigation. We were dealing with, filing lawsuits against Global Entertainment and Piper Jaffray and Foster Pepper. I mean, we were just trying to juggle as many things as we can while, keeping the building open and operating, keeping the Wenatchee Wild going, and then trying to get in a place where the voters would support a tax increase to help pay for the building. And we were able to do all of that, but it was, I don't know any mayor that ever went to work on day one and had an SEC investigation, a municipal default, and trying to run the day-to-day operations of a city all at the same time. It was quite a time.
You had spent time on the city council before you were elected mayor, and it seems like maybe you had seen some danger signs concerning Town Toyota Center. You were one of the votes against construction proceeding in 2007.
Yeah, it was an interesting time, and I think like anything that you see, you have to look at the entire picture. So the first version of the Town Toyota Center they brought us was a 6,000-seat arena. It could hold actually 2 basketball courts or 2 volleyball courts, so you could host state tournaments. And I think the cost was $28 million or something. And I was in favor of that. I thought the 28 was a number that we could handle based on the economics at the time. And then, of course, that arena, not only did it go from a 6,000-seat arena to a 4,000-seat arena, it also got reduced in size, so you couldn't have the 2 courts, so you couldn't host state tournaments, and the cost went from 28 to 44 million. It didn't go there directly. There was a couple iterations that got there, but like any business person, you go, hey, I'm going to go build my new commercial building, and it's going to be whatever, it costs this much. And when you get to the end of the day, you go, oh, it's going to be smaller than that and cost way more. You got to stop and make a decision. And so when I looked at the Town Toyota Center at the end, I go, you know what? I don't think we can afford this. I don't think it's going to make enough money to make it go. So I was one of 3 no votes. There was 3 yes votes. A person abstained, and so we went to the mayor at that point to cast the tying vote, and Mayor Johnson at the time voted yes, so we moved forward. Once we moved forward, at least I think my job as a council member isn't to then vote no on everything that comes up. My job is to say, okay, the past 4-3, now we have a contract for a lease agreement with Global. Okay, let's review that in those terms. And so I voted, yes on some of the agreements, but again, the choice as to whether we should build it or not and could we afford it, the answer was no, we couldn't, and that's the reason I voted the way I did. Yeah, it was ironically 4 years later, I'm trying to save it. It's already built, right? And now we basically have a financing problem, and my job was to try to figure out how to get through the financing issues.
Do you look at it now? Is it possible to remember the skyline of Wenatchee without it? It seems like it's kind of a central point in our community culture now.
It is a central point in our community culture, and when you think about during COVID, that was where all the food distribution took place. What would we have done without that? That was the regional vaccination center. What would we have done without that? So when you think about some of the things that have taken place in the meantime and understanding how great it is to have a facility like that for those occasions, quite frankly, we're lucky that we have it. But you never would have predicted that 12 years ago or 16 years ago or whatever. But watching it operate, watching people have fun, and watching it during the time with COVID, we're pretty lucky we have a facility like that.
Well, when you became mayor, once you got beyond that issue of how do we deal with the Town Toyota Center crisis, did you feel like you had the skill set coming in, or were there more things for you to learn?
You learn something every single day in this job, right? There's just parts of it that you continue to learn. I thought it was, I got done with one of the I sort of came in and said, okay, let me focus on the Town Toyota Center. I'll see what I can do with that. You guys sort of run the day-to-day operations, and when I get this sort of put in a basket, then we'll stop. And it was interesting, we got the tax vote happened on April 15th or so. And so on April 15th, we knew we had a revenue source. We knew we were going to be able to get out of it. It took us till September 30th to get the bonds done, but we sort of knew we had a path forward. So I got done with tax season, the vote passed. I walk into City Hall, and my finance director at the time says, Frank, I need to talk to you. This is going to be great. So we sit down, and she says, here's our budget for that year, which would have been 2012. And I say, yeah, and I'm assuming we're on pace with all that. And she goes, well, that sales tax number that we thought we were going to get, we're going to get $1.5 million less than that. Thank you very much for that. So now, not only did I fix the Town Toyota Center problem, which I thought was, now we have a financial problem inside the city limits of the city of Wenatchee in terms of the government, and we've got to make some hard decisions. So I took a breath and sat down and worked with staff, and that's when we made some decisions like the museum is not going to be a fully city department anymore. We're going to get them out on their own. We're going to contribute money to the association, the nonprofit, and they can run the museum. And so we made some changes to some fire department contracts and stuff, and had a couple of police officers retire to get our budget back in. But I said people at the time, I ran to fix the Town Toyota Center. Had you told me that we also had this other problem, I probably wouldn't have run, because I was not prepared for that. But again, coming out of that, we then made some decisions in and around the city on things that sort of get us back on sort of a normal ground where we weren't going to lose a whole bunch of money. And then I put the sustainability committee together, and I said, local business people, what do you want your city to look like? At that point, our revenue was growing at about a 1% clip, and our expenses were growing at a 4 and 5% clip. And so, at the $15 million level, you go, well, you're going upside down by $500,000 a year. And I said, which is 2 or 3 police officers, right? Which is mowing your parks. Which is, so what do you want this community to look like? And the business community did a fantastic job of sort of sorting through and giving us some things to look at. And one of the things was, we got to get out of the fire business. Why not consolidate, technically annex with Chelan County Fire District 1, and they can take over the fire. I said, yeah, let's give that a shot. That's something people have talked about for a long time. And lo and behold, that got to a vote of the people, and it passed. I get 85% yes vote. At the same time, they said you should annex Old Station into the city limits of the city of Wenatchee. That really should be part of the city. That's revenue that can go. And so I went out and met with a bunch of business owners out there. And after 2 separate tries, we annexed Old Station in the city limits of the city of Wenatchee. Most of that happening towards the end of my first term and the very first year or 2 of my second term.
Were you expecting when you became mayor to have a wildfire that destroyed 30 homes in your city and also gutted part of the warehouse district in the center of North Wenatchee Avenue?
Nope, I remember that day just like it was yesterday. That was awful, and a lot of friends and folks had lost their homes, and just a really tragic event. But I think we've gotten better. We've got a lot fewer of the houses with shake roofs. The new building code required those in their wild urban interface to have extra windows and extra, protection from fires, and we've got that all over our foothills now. So we have jumped on that code. And think about it, we have adopted that code in the city, but the county is yet to adopt that code. And Douglas County has not adopted that code, right? So again, things to think about in terms of difference between cities and counties. I think we led the way once we got through all of that in terms of making sure that we were the leaders, so when that happens again, we have defensible space. We've got building codes that set up and make it so hopefully that never happens again.
We know that traffic tends to get coagulated on the north end of Wenatchee. We also have seen what happens when one bridge or the other gets blocked, even temporarily. We
Last
see that
weekend, yeah, a couple days ago, yeah.
We see it like every 2 or 3 weeks, I think. But in the case of Confluence Parkway, we also see when more lanes and bridges get built, more traffic goes onto those lanes and bridges. So is Confluence Parkway really the solution for those problems?
So if you were to say, Jefferson, if you build Confluence Parkway, there'll be no more congestion on North Wenatchee Avenue. Okay, that's not going to happen, right? What the projections have all showed is Confluence Parkway is roughly 45,000 cars a day, and in 10 years it'll be 50,000 cars a day, and in 15 years it'll be 60,000 cars a day, right? So you can imagine adding a third more traffic to North Wenatchee Avenue and not having any additional lanes, right? So these lanes will help, right? But it's not going to fix the problem, and it's going to make it easier for folks to get in and out of town. But if you think that it's the magic panacea to all of North Wenatchee Avenue, it is not. But it's the cheapest way, hard to believe, $200 million is the cheapest way to add 2 additional lanes across the Wenatchee River and avoid all of the downtown congestion that you're going to get. And listen, we're putting in another $20 million on North Wenatchee Avenue here pretty quick as well. You can start to see what that looks like with what we did in front of the old WashDOT building, where you've got the curb, tree plantings, wider sidewalk, right? Most of North Wenatchee Avenue will look like that 20 years from now. It'll have a better pedestrian feel. There'll be medians down the middle where you can't make left-hand turns. There'll be U-turns at all the intersections. And you'll have that first one by June of next year when we finish the McKittrick Street interchange, get the traffic signals in, and get the median strips in. That is what that was going to look like. And that will also help with congestion because you won't have as many folks trying to make left-hand turns. I think I was telling someone the other day, the thing that I regret probably the most is, I'm sort of a fixer, right? You call me, you want your pothole fixed, I could probably get that done tomorrow, right? Or the next day. Or if there's something going on, we can get a police department guy on speeding cars. And there's stuff that we can do that we can control. I can't control the homeless issue. I can't control the fentanyl issue very well. Some of the mental health issues. These are sort of nationwide issues. They're not limited to Wenatchee. And I told someone the other day, I said, the reason I didn't run again was probably those issues, right? Because I want to fix stuff, and this is stuff that's really difficult to fix. You can work on the edges and try to make it better, but I can't fix it like I can fix your pothole. And this gentleman looked at me and said, well, Frank, it's not your fault. This just happens everywhere. And I said, that doesn't change it for me. It's not a question of whose fault it is. The community doesn't care whose fault it is. The community wants it fixed. And when you have Martin v. Boise, and you got the Blake decision, and you got other Supreme Court decisions that sort of tie our hands, it really makes it hard. And it's easy to backseat quarterback and say, yeah, I'm going to fix the home, and I'm going to fix this, and I'm going to fix that. But when you really look at what the laws say we can and can't do, it's very difficult. And so I think that frustration really sort of sat with me and said, I think that's hard for me. And then I think at the end of the day, that was probably the one issue that said, it's time for someone else to take a look at this.
If you leave a note in your drawer, Frank, for the next mayor to find, and he doesn't know it's there, what's the note say?
It's sort of what I think George Bush gave to Bill Clinton. If he's successful, then we're all successful, right? And if Mike Poyer does a great job, then our city's going to be in a better spot, right? And he needs to do it his way. I've told him, don't follow my footsteps, make it yours, make it the way you want to do it. And I think he'll do a great job. So I am not going to be a backseat quarterback, right? It's almost his now. I'm moving out of my office on Friday. So he will sort of have the reins other than I have to sign everything. And it's amazing how quickly when you have a mayor-elect that the old mayor doesn't really matter anymore. It's really a heavy transition. And I'm handing stuff to him and said, go for it. So I wish him nothing but the best of luck. We have a great staff, and he'll get to work with really great people. But it's a hard job. And I think, I've said this quite a few times, I think until you sit in that position, you don't know. I looked at Mike yesterday after the 14 things I told him, and I could just tell that he's just processing, right? All of those things. The longer you do it, the easier it becomes, but there's a lot there. I just want him to be successful, because if he's successful, our city's successful, and that's all I want.
right, it's sports. It seems appropriate that the last Apple Cup played as both teams being members of the conference ends on the last play of the game. That's exactly what happened, of course. Washington's Grady Gross hits the game-winning 42-yard field goal on the last play of the game. Huskies beat the Cougars 24-21. Of course, the big play a few plays earlier when Coach Kalen DeBoer said, let's go for it on 4th down, and that changed the game.
An unbelievable level of confidence in your offense.
With one timeout left offensively.
In so many ways for the game here. They will go, and they're going to go the other direction. Oh, it's Odunze! Rome Odunze! For the win, it is good! Washington survives Apple Cup insanity.
It was an entertaining Saturday afternoon. Grady Gross, who hit the game-winning field goal, was a walk-on player when the game started. After the game, well, here's what happened.
Far corner for Cumbie. Rims this one out in front of the benches. Wild chase it down. And in quickly with Geeky. Sends it backdoor. One-timer, they score! Matthew Savoy, he answers! And the Wild have tied it at 1. Turned aside by G. Up the right wing, Sherbina has it on his forehand. Waits, walks it around, back door, they score! Carter Prasovsky, 2-1, Wenatchee! Carter Prasovsky on the back post with the one-timer on the doorstep. You gotta get here early, 2-1, time of the goal, 6:06 of the first period. Another one for the Wild. Trying to throw one on, but he got caught on his heels. Had to lean back and get to it, and by the time he did that, the moment had already passed. Savoy ducks across the blue line. Wrist shot, top corner, they score! Geeky hits his target. It's 3-1. That top line is clicking again tonight, and another one for the Wild. You want to talk about adding some breathing room, especially late in a game. That would do it. Sward gets it ahead. Savoy, or make that Bukarts, rolls it in. Sharp angle try. Moore rolls in. They score! And over the line, Catton looking for one more chance. We'll let the crowd tell you the rest. One more shot thrown on by Ekstrom. Time expires. Wild win. And a little bit of wrestling match in front of the net between Shevdeleyev and Ashton Cumbie.
Well, that was highlights from the Wild beating Spokane. This is live television, folks. We work without a net. Here's the video of Grady Gross getting the scholarship.
Thanksgiving weekend. Okay, I'm thankful for Grady Gross. Yeah! And you know what I hope Grady Gross is thankful for? The scholarship he's earned.
All right, number 4 Huskies, number 6 Ducks. This will be a good one. Pac-12 championship Friday night, 5 o'clock in beautiful Las Vegas. All right, Kraken. Well, they won big the day before Thanksgiving, and then on Friday after Thanksgiving, they didn't play particularly well at all. Vancouver beats them 5-1. The Kraken are on the road tomorrow night in Chicago, taking on the Blackhawks, 5:30 on Root Sports. You just saw the Wenatchee Wild highlights. They defeated Spokane. The final there was 4-2. That is now 10 wins in a row at home for the Wenatchee Wild, and they will take on Kelowna Wednesday night at 7:05. You can hear Austin Andrade with the call on 560 KPQ. 2 teams from our area punched their tickets to the state championship, Liberty Bell and Okanagan. The Mountain Lions were led by quarterback Lucien Paz, 374 yards passing, 5 touchdowns. Liberty Bell crushes Nia Bay in the 1B semifinals, and Okanagan's defense held Northwest Christian to 17 yards rushing in a 21-0 victory. So here you go. The entire schedule for the state championships. at Husky Stadium on Friday. The 1B Championship, Liberty Bell, that's 8-man football, Liberty Bell and Wilbur Creston Keller at 11 a.m. Royal will take on Lakeside at the 9 Mile Falls at 3. And then for the 3A Championship, it's the Bellevue Wolverines and Yelm at 7 o'clock. And then on Saturday, 2B, Okanagan going for the championship again, taking on Napavine at 11 a.m. It's Anacortes and Tumwater at 3. And Lake Stevens and Graham Kapowsin, a rematch of the state championship game from 2 years ago, wraps it up at 7 o'clock. And those are just some of the games that people are playing. Nothing obscure about today's obscure holiday. It's Cyber Monday. It's Cyber Monday. Just another friendly reminder, in case you missed it earlier in the program, if in fact, while you're pointing and clicking with your credit card handy on this Cyber Monday, if you feel within your heart of hearts that you want to buy me a Christmas present, just don't forget my rule of thumb, big and expensive. Today in history. On this date, 58 years ago, Lyndon Johnson met with his Joint Chiefs of Staff and Robert McNamara, his Defense Secretary, and a few other the bigwigs. And the bigwigs in the Pentagon sat down with Lyndon Johnson and said, Mr. President, right now we have 120,000 troops in Vietnam. If we're going to win this war, we're going to need 400,000 troops in Vietnam. November 27, 1965. November 27, 1971, the very first man-made object to land on Mars. And it did not have the stars and stripes on it. It had the hammer and sickle. Now, it malfunctioned on the way down to Mars. They launched this rocket like in March, and now it's November 27th, and it crash-landed on Mars, but still, the Soviets said, we beat you to it. A Soviet space program Mars 2 orbiter crashes onto the surface of Mars, but it was the first man-made object ever to reach the red planet on this date, 1971. And 50 years ago today, for the first time in history, the 25th Amendment to the Constitution is invoked when the United States Senate votes to send Gerald R. Ford to the vice presidency. The House of Representatives would vote a week later. The 25th Amendment, which was ratified in 1967, hadn't actually been implemented until this date in 1973. And birthdays. If you grew up in this in the Pacific Northwest, you remember Cal Worthington. Cal Worthington and his dog Spot, which was never a dog. The famous car dealer, Cal Worthington, was born in the state in 1920. During World War II, he trained pilots. He was a flight instructor, trained pilots who would eventually become astronauts. After the war, he wanted to become a pilot, but at that time, to get a pilot's license from the FAA, you had to be a college graduate, and he wasn't. So he got into selling cars, and he said later, I didn't really like selling cars. I had a talent for it. I discovered that, but I wasn't really into being a car dealer. At one point, he owned 29 car dealerships all by himself. That made him the largest car chain owned by a single individual. The last Cal Worthington auto dealership, by the way, just closed back in February. Cal Worthington, born in the state in 1920. Bruce Lee. In fact, we have two Northwest legends who share the same birthday. Bruce Lee, born 83 years ago today. His grave is the second most visited grave in the Puget Sound area. Number one is the next guy, James Marshall Hendricks. Jimi Hendrix, the greatest guitar player ever, period. Jimi Hendrix. Nobody tops him. The guitar players that I know, they still can't figure out what the hell Jimmy was doing. He was born in the state in 1942. And Bill Nye the Science Guy, another Northwest legend. He's 68 years old. His PBS show, Bill Nye the Science Guy, his show, won 19 Emmy Awards. It was geared towards kids, but I thought it was pretty good. Happy birthday to Bill. Still to come, Mike McKnight's got an opinion, and then we're going to talk about the Wenatchee High School Golden Apple Marching Band, their big fundraisers coming up on Saturday. All that information, thanks to Alpine Air. For heat and air, call Alpine Air, platinum sponsors of the NCW Life Channel. You're watching a Monday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life Channel. Crown Furniture knows the most important part of a healthy and productive lifestyle is good quality sleep. The Englander Mattress Company is dedicated to manufacturing the best mattresses made in the USA. Englander chooses the finest materials made in the USA with a drive, dedication, and attention to detail, earning them a 99% satisfaction rating. Stop by Crown Furniture today on South Wenatchee Avenue and save up to 35% on select Englander mattresses.
D.A. Davidson in Wenatchee provides financial services for independent-minded clients working to secure their futures. Whether it's helping construct your personal financial, retirement, or estate plan, they start with a disciplined approach and straightforward advice. An individualized approach is rooted in the values, stability, and strength their company was founded on in 1935. With offices coast to coast and personal attention you deserve right here in the Wenatchee Valley, learn more about D.A. Davidson.
Lose yourself in the magic of the most wonderful time of the year at Cirque Dreams Holidays. This electrifying stage production has captured the imagination of audiences throughout the country. Delight in the holiday season as the world's finest circus artists perform alongside a cast of lovable holiday characters. Sprinkled with high-energy dance numbers and festive holiday music, it's the perfect gift for the entire family.
This is Mike Mad Dog McNutty, and everybody's entitled to my opinion. Now, I've always been a reader. I mean, reading is my safe place, my happy place. And whenever I'm asked what my favorite thing to do is, I say reading. Well, my favorite family-friendly thing. Okay, so I have news for you folks who are not readers. Reading is doing something. People who aren't readers see somebody like me reading a book and they think, hey, he isn't doing anything. I can talk to him and then be insulted if he doesn't hear me respond or if he just keeps his nose in the book. Now, reading is as legitimate as activity, which is rude to interrupt, as playing video games, talking on the phone, or contemplating your navel, whatever it is non-readers do. You may not like to read, but I do. So there. This is Mike Mad Dog McNutty, and that's my opinion.
Hey there, folks. Blueberry Carrie here to invite you on out to experience Blueberry Hills. Of course, the food is fabulous, like our cheese splints, our famous French dip, our legendary Eggs Benedict, and unforgettable burgers. But we're more than just great food. People come from all over the world to experience what's been called one of the best destination restaurants in the Pacific Northwest. So come on out and see what all the fuss is about. Blueberry Hills in Manson. It's where the world is coming to.
Castle Rock International is the Northwest's premier real estate agency for large acreage properties, farms and ranch land, lodging and resorts, waterfront properties, and commercial real estate. Professional, knowledgeable, and discreet, award-winning Castle Rock International has the listings and the highly qualified buyers you have been looking for. Contact John McNamara at Castle Rock International today, or visit their website for more information about this outstanding local company.
This is the time of year we celebrate family, traditions, and great food. At Abby's, our legendary pizzas are so giant that they feed up to 6 happy family members. When you need a break from cooking, think Abby's, our place or your place. Our family is here for your family. What makes Abby's triple topper so great?
Pepperoni, Canadian bacon, ground beef.
With these premium toppings piled to the edge, it's a whole lot of pizza on sale for a very special price. And when you give the gift of Abby's, we'll give you a present too.
Welcome back to the program. Saturday, December 2nd. If you haven't made plans already, you will be making plans to come to the annual Holiday Craft Bazaar put on by the Wenatchee High School Golden Apple Band Booster Club. It's the biggest fundraiser of the year for the award-winning Wenatchee High School Golden Apple Marching Band at the Wenatchee High School Commons. Huge event, one-of-a-kind items. We'll talk about all that crap in just a little bit, and it ain't crap. It's good stuff. But it's always fun to talk about the Wenatchee High School Golden Apple Marching Band. Back from Auburn and the traditional Veterans Day competition. Introduce yourself. Senior drum major is?
Sophie Macon.
Junior drum major is?
Alexa Dickman.
So Alexa will be taking over next year.
Yep.
So you are tutoring this gal, and you were tutored last year.
I was.
Which worked out pretty good, right, for you?
Mm-hmm. Love Finley. Miss her all the time.
Yeah. What is she doing now, by the way?
She's at Oregon State. I think she's working on her medical career, I think, still.
Is she still keeping up with her instrument?
No.
I'm trying to remember. Wasn't she a pianist? I can't remember.
She played the alto sax.
That's right.
I don't think she liked it very much, but she's stuck in it. She's whenever she says she'll do something, she'll do it.
And that's one of the challenges. You're the senior drum major. You are the student leader of the band under the direction of Mr. Kovac. but you have to play an instrument and be proficient in it to even get to it. But
Yeah.
once you become a drum major, do you keep up with your instrument?
Well, I love playing music, so it was easy for me. I just joined all the music groups I could to make up for the fact that I don't play for half of the year. So since I'm in wind ensemble and jazz band, I'm playing more than I ever have. So it's like, whatever.
And you're a saxophonist, right?
Yeah, I play the bari sax and the tenor sax.
And is it, again, are you keeping up with your instrumental prowess, your fingerings and your scales, even though you don't really play it much?
Yeah, I'm also in wind ensemble and jazz band, and then we also get to play for concert season since they don't need drum majors for that. So I'm gonna be brass for that.
There is a season in band world. It is competition season, which is in the autumn, that culminates with a traditional trip to Auburn and the Veterans Day deal, where you do two competitions. You do a field competition where you do all of your little formations like we see at the football game at the halftime show.
Yep.
And then you do a marching thing, and then you're judged.
Yeah.
And then the concert season is in the winter, and the marching's in the spring. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Pretty
it's
much?
the parade season.
The parade season
With
is what
Apple
you
Blossom
call it.
and Manson.
How did you guys do in Auburn?
We won in our division. We got second overall. Sumner beat us. They're a huge band, so it's harder to win as a smaller band. So we're super proud. We won first place for the parade and first place for the marching show, and we won 3 caption awards. We won best marching, music, and auxiliary.
And this is a judged competition?
Yes.
How do they judge that you're doing good? I know it sounds like a silly question, but how do they know? Go ahead, either one.
They've got a bunch of people down on the field with mics, and they've got certain people who are focused purely on like the woodwind brass sound, and they've got people who are looking specifically at the percussion and the guard, and there's people who are up in the upper box who are just watching, and then there's people down on the field who are giving kind of a closer look at it, and they do little recordings so later we can like listen back and like hear our feedback. Yeah, and they just grade us.
That's a lot. It's high school.
Yeah.
I mean, that's gotta be nerve-wracking.
It is. It's nerve-wracking, especially whenever you're marching on the field and this judge is right in front of you and looking at you and going, and then they make a comment and you can't really hear because this guy's playing right next to you in your ear, but you're like, oh, I hope that was good. You can usually hear them whenever you're, as a drum major, on the podium. This guy's right under you and he can say, good job, but, and then that's all you hear and you're like, well.
But when you're the drum major, when you guys are competing and being judged, you know 16, 18 bars in whether you're doing it good or not, right?
Yeah, you can kind of hear it. Sometimes they'll be tearing whenever the percussion or parts of the band aren't lining up and you go, oh, they're definitely going to comment on that one.
And yet, you won your division.
We won our division. It was probably the best time we've ever performed, in practices or not. They just really put it all out there and I was like, so proud.
And this process began in August, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got your sheets and is it the same deal that Mr. Kovac has been doing for years? You kind of get a layout of, it's actually like a football field.
Yeah.
And you have to realize where everybody's supposed to be at any one time?
Yeah, it's the same. Just looking at that chart where your number is and going, stepping it off.
And playing your instrument.
Playing your instrument.
And hitting the notes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, no regrets about deciding to become a drum major? Because I know the competition is pretty difficult.
I don't regret it all at all.
Right.
I've loved it so much. I miss being on the field sometimes, but then whenever you're performing and you're getting to express with your face and your emotions, it kind of makes up for what you're not expressing with the music you're playing.
Talk about the selection of your understudy. What kind of role did you play in that, Miss Macon, to get her on?
Well, so since Alexa did DCI this summer, she did professional marching band with the Seattle Cascades. So she didn't get to go to drum major camp with me, which is whenever we learned a lot of the stuff. So this year has been more like teaching basics. And she's learned so fast, everything. Like, I'm so impressed that she didn't go to drum major camp and she's this good, because it's like 3 or 4 days of like 12-hour days of just like learning, and she had to learn it in like a week with an hour each day. So I'm like, oh my gosh.
So this was something you wanted to do.
Yeah, I did I started auditioning freshman year, and so we auditioned together. But I was a freshman, so I kind of knew that I wasn't going to get it. But it was just kind of like to know what the process was going to be for when I auditioned my sophomore year. And so I went through the whole process, and I practiced, and I kind of had a good idea of what I was going to do so that I could be prepared, because I knew that I was like, I love my marching band, but I want to go to the next level, you know? I want to be a leader.
Did you know you were going to get the gig when you got the gig?
No, I was kind of surprised, but I had a little hunch.
Yeah.
Does Mr. Kovac have the final say-so on it, or does he get some feedback from you? Or the band, for that matter?
The audition process is kind of different than the rest of the bands I've talked to. We have a panel of probably 8 or 9 judges, like our visual staff, our color guard staff, a few seniors from that year.
Sounds like the trip to Auburn.
And then the drum majors. And they're the ones we're sitting in while they're doing their audition. They're marching, their military stuff, their commands, and then there's a little interview afterwards. It probably takes 30, 45 minutes for one audition. And then we have scoring sheets, so we score them, we rank them, like number 1, this is my top pick for junior drum major the next year. And then Mr. K looks at the sheets and he makes a decision based off of that. But he doesn't show up to anything, like none of the practices. He doesn't read he doesn't go to the auditions.
But that's good, isn't it?
I know, I think it's kind of smart, because then he's not like in front of them, like he's just like trusting the staff that's going to be working the most with the drum major.
And when you guys are performing, and I can say this from going to all the Panther home football games, we televise them all, you guys are in charge. I mean, he like opens the gate so you guys can go on the field, and his job ends there. I mean, you guys are in charge of your peers.
Yeah.
And it works, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Most of the time.
So he trusts you guys to do what you're supposed to do.
It's a big job.
Yeah. But it's a disciplined group, isn't it? Talk about the discipline of the Golden Apple Marching Band. It's the core of the whole success, isn't it?
Yeah, we like to keep ourselves pretty heavily disciplined, because it's like one of the things that we're known for, and like we hold it pretty high in our standards, that it's like people look at us when we're walking by and they're like, wow, I wish we were like that. I wish we could be that disciplined. And it just kind of adds that, like, you're like, wow, we're good, you know? It's kind of a nice feeling. But yeah, they work on it all season, and it's a lot. It's a lot of internal emotions to, like, you got to be really focused and you got to be really hardworking to, like, have the level of discipline that these kids have. Like, they're out there on the field, straight-faced, playing their all the time, and yeah, it's hard, but they do great.
Do you feel like you're getting the necessary support from the student body in general when you perform?
Yeah, I mean, they seem
I know your parents are all into it.
Yeah.
And, and that kind of stuff.
Everybody seems to love it. Very supportive people. I mean, yeah.
Sometimes during games, they can get a little mean in the student section, but once we get up there during halftime, they cheer for us. Me and Alexa do a glove drop where we drop our black gloves so that we can show our white ones so they can see us conducting. They cheer for that. They go crazy. So it's kind of like...
You know what it is? It's jealousy.
I know.
It is. It's jealousy because they're not doing it and you're out there.
They want to be us so bad.
Yeah. No, it's all jealousy because they're going, well, I didn't. Turns out I should have kept up with my trumpet because they're out there and I'm sitting here in the stands being a jerk, and that happens. Let's talk about the December 2nd. It is back. How many? I try to remember how many of these craft bazaars you guys have done. I've lost track.
Oh, I don't know.
You keep doing them.
They're from the end of time.
Okay.
And they'll probably go until...
So they go so far back that I think even Mr. Kovac remembers how long they've been doing it. This is the biggest fundraiser of the year for you on December 2nd, right?
Yes.
And you guys roll in some serious dough with this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do what with it?
It counts towards people's fair share, so they don't have to pay as much. Uniform cleanings.
Alterations.
Yeah.
What about like music rental? I know Chinook Music is a huge sponsor of this. Do they help defray some of the costs of renting? Because instruments can be expensive.
I don't know about renting. Maybe renting. I don't know. I rent from Avalon. Sorry, Chinook.
That's okay.
It's just closer to
Avalon's
my house.
great people too.
I love Avalon and Chinook. I think it covers some of the costs for instrument repairs at Chinook. That's where if a student brings in a horn to Chinook, we don't really have to pay anything.
And every 4 years, and this is one of the cool things about being in the Wenatchee High School Golden Apple Marching Band, if you come in as a freshman and you go all the way through the program for all 4 years, you're guaranteed a trip to Disneyland, and this is the Disneyland year.
Yeah, it is. We're really excited.
So spring break, first week in April, you're heading to Disneyland.
Yes, we are.
Have you been to Disneyland before?
I have not.
Really? What about yourself?
I've been.
Yeah.
I've been, I think, once or twice, yeah.
Your impressions?
I mean, I liked it. I don't remember a lot. I was younger, but yeah, it's fun.
What's it like shaking hands with a mouse who has a head the size of a Maytag washer? It's kind of a weird thing.
No idea. Steered clear.
And Disneyland is not a cheap trip.
No,
it's airfare, it's hotel, it's a few odds and ends, it's for you guys and your chaperones. And so you got to raise some serious dough, but it's something you got to remember for the rest of your life.
I know. Yeah, I'm really excited. It is costing a pretty penny for students out of pocket, but the Craft Bazaar is one of those things that help relieve some of that cost. So we're really excited.
So the Craft Bazaar, for those of you who don't know, I'll give you a quick recap. All these local artisans who are really good at whatever it is that they do, they create stuff, they make stuff, all kinds of different stuff. One-of-a-kind unique items, and then they all rent a table from you guys.
Yeah.
And they sell their wares.
Yeah.
Did I get all that right?
Yeah. It's pretty good.
So when you guys have to work the craft, I mean, you work in the whole day on the second, and then what tables are you personally going to go to when you get a chance?
I like all of the soap and candle ones. I also like the one, I always forget the name of the business, but they make these like really fancy pens, and I like looking at them.
Okay.
That's a really fancy pen.
Really?
Yeah.
What about you? Is there a table you have your eye on when you get a chance to?
I like the people who do like the metal or wooden art, or I like the people who do the very outdoorsy art that I think is super creative.
Do people know how big this is? This is big. You got like 150 vendors. You take over the entire commons. You go up and down the hallway. This is big.
Oh yeah, and we've expanded our bounds this year. So we're going from, usually we just go from like the main entrance through the commons, and this year we get to expand to past the auditorium, or through the auditorium. So we have like an extra entire hallway to fill.
Is that because you simply need the room?
Yeah, we've grown so much this year. It's really exciting.
Is there a lot of pressure to make sure this thing works as like it is when there's pressure to be in the Wenatchee High School Golden Apple Marching Band? Do the other kids in your group know how important this is?
I think the ones who've been in the band for a while understand, and I think that freshmen are about to learn. But my mom's she's Kendra Martin. She's the ASB. She's the band booster president. She's been working like every single night on this thing. She gets home from work and she's just like, band booster, but Craft Bazaar. So a lot of work goes into it.
And we have just a couple more questions left. And you brought up an important point, and thank you for not letting me forget it. The booster club and the parents, if they're not involved in this, it is saying happen. I mean, do the folks have any idea what kind of time that your parents go through from the time you start band in August all the way through spring and marching season? Do they have any idea what kind of what both you and the parents have to go through?
I don't know. Sometimes people will say things and they go, "What? You just march with instruments?" And it's like, there's so much more that goes into it and creating this family, and so we're like always so grateful for our parents and our booster club because like they're really outstanding.
A lot of time, a lot of
Yeah.
effort. You're a senior. What are you going to do? You're going to graduate and then what?
I'm going to Central. I've been accepted already. I think I'm not going into the music program this next year, but I'm going to audition for the music program my sophomore year of college. I just need to work on my chops. I'm not quite there yet.
Well, good for you. I went through Emmonsburg.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the backseat of a patrol car, so it doesn't count. What's your advice to this lovely young lady who takes the reins starting next year? What are you going to tell her in June when you're graduating? Don't screw it up?
Yeah. Well, don't be afraid to screw up. And treat your junior drum major well. We've both been there with mean senior drum majors. No, I think just remember why you've stuck in it and why you love it.
And one last thing, what's it like to go to class with Mr. Kovac? Mr. K is your teacher. He seems pretty cool. Now, I don't know, I'm 40 plus years removed from high school, but.
Well, I would say he's pretty cool. He's an all right dude.
Okay.
He's really, really funny. He's strict. He's gotten less strict. I think his grandkids did it to him. He's like kind of a softie now. Like, it used to be if it was raining during practice, suck it up, because it rains during Auburn, it rains during Everett. You're marching in the rain all the time. Get over it. And I think either he's tired of paying for instruments getting repaired from the wetness, and tired of seeing his heart just hurts for these cold, shivering little kids. So he's gotten a little softer, but there's still, like, one time during band camp, he does crazy things. I was chilling, I was watching the tenor brass section do their thing, and he goes, "Follow me." And I follow him down the hallway, and he points at a trail of blood, and we follow the trail of blood all the way to the bathroom, and he's like, okay, that's it. I'm like, all right, okay. See you later, Mr. K.
Okay, well, I hope we didn't cost him his job. I'll tell you this much, though. I have offered Mr. K to be on this show a dozen times, and he always flatly declines.
Yeah.
And he's dead dog serious about it.
He's not into getting his pictures taken.
Yeah.
He doesn't like being seen around. Every time, like, we go to a competition or something, and they ask for like a little about the conductor, he writes like 2 sentences, and the rest of the conductors and band directors have like 4-page essays about themselves, and he's like, "I'm James Kovac. I direct at Golden Apple marching band."
He puts the spotlight where it should be,
right?
Which is on the kids.
Yeah.
Again, it is Saturday, December 2nd. I believe it starts at 9 a.m.
Yes.
Loose closing hours. It's like 2 or 2:30, but they're not going to throw you out if you're still buying stuff. It's always a good idea to bring cash, but almost all of the vendors will be taking the little swipey, cubey, I don't know what the name of it is. But if you bring cash, you know you're going to be able to get what you want to get. And be sure to spend a lot of time and spend a lot of money so we can help these kids out. All right, have fun.
Thank you.
Cool. Have a good concert season.
Yes, we're really
See,
excited.
I'm getting into it. I'm starting to understand. All I play is the kazoo, and I really do that very well. You're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley. We'll be right back.
Bring the whole family up to Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house in historic downtown Chelan. Applewood smoked brisket, street-style tacos, and our award-winning barbecue rubs and sauces. Our meals pair perfectly with our exciting lineup of craft ales, made right here in Chelan. We've got room for big groups, or give us a call for catering. So grab the kids and check out the fun at Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house located in the heart of Chelan.
Hey, hon, would you run this around to the wash rack?
Oh, okay.
Hey, hon, what happened?
They shrunk the truck.
The all-new midsize Canyon is now available at Sangster Motors. Small town holidays wouldn't be complete without a visit to Kelly's Classic Ace Hardware Store. From the minute you walk through the door, you'll feel the difference. Kelly's revives the days of personal service lost in the big box stores of today. Kelly's Ace Hardware in classic downtown Chelan.
The magic of the holidays is in iconic Lake Chelan. Breathtaking light displays, Santa parades, fireworks. Celebrate local with Plaid Fridays. Information at smalltownholidays.com.
It's cloudy, it's foggy, it's still 30 degrees. We haven't moved a bit since this show started just about an hour ago. We were under the influence of a very strong ridge of high pressure. It's stagnant, it's just sitting there. The center of it is right over the Washington-Idaho border. It's going to be hanging around for the next, I guess, 4 days, so the pattern's not going to really change a great deal. Low clouds and fog in the morning, birds off to sunshine in the afternoon, but of course as the days get shorter and the sun does not quite go as high in the sky as it was just a couple of weeks ago, low clouds and fog are going to be hanging around a little bit. And there's also some concern about some stagnant air. I wouldn't be surprised if we have some air quality issues. There's no place for the pollutants to go. They go up, they hit the bottom of the lid, and they head right back down again. So we shall see. From the National Weather Service, same old, clouds and fog in the morning, sunshine in the afternoon. High of 36, 26 for the overnight low. That's the forecast through Thursday. I want to jump ahead to Friday, and especially Friday night. Now, Friday night, the snow level is going to go down to 1,100 feet. There is a chance of snow and a 60% chance of that Friday night into Saturday. You could wake up Saturday to some snow on the ground here in the valley. And that's it for us. Have a good Monday. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Live It Up, the show where we explore and discuss how to take your life to that next level and beyond. We cover health, wealth, relationships, and how to create a life that feels good. Because after all, that's what we want. We want to feel good. I'm your host and coach, Fletcher Ellingson, and today on the show, very excited because we're going to be visiting with Gene Sherritt of Kindness Counts NCW. Now, I got to tell you, I'm a fan of this organization, and I just found out about them. But what I love about them is their mission is to inspire, recognize,